Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, will love win at the Supreme Court?
If it's a question of human rights, if it's a question of fundamental constitutional rights, it's with the Supreme Court.
The High Court makes history by hearing a petition seeking to legalize same-sex marriage.
I will be very candid to you as a graduate of the same school that at this point in time, I am more inclined, I think, to dismiss your case.
How far can its petitioner go in seeking equal rights for the LGBTQ?
Naniniwala po kami na ang kasal ay karapatang pantao at hindi po ito pribilehiyo na ibinibigay ng Estado o simbahan.
Attorney Jesus Falcis III joins us live. Also, after defying the odds,
you're the most kind, gentle, and caring partner that I could ever hope for.
You are my answered prayer. God knows. I prayed for you.
This couple proves love is love. We get to know more about fashion designer Francis Libiran and husband Christian Mark Jacobs live in the program. And later, a mother's pride parade sign is now an iconic symbol. That's for today's In Focus. Thank you for joining us. Sitting in for Pinky Webb, I'm Mitzi Borromeo. A country's first, the Supreme Court hears a petition that seeks to allow same-sex marriage in the Philippines. The petition was filed in 2015 by a young lawyer who says that a portion of the country's family code is unconstitutional, defining and limiting marriage between a man and a woman. As the High Court wraps up its oral argument of this historic case, what are the chances that the Supreme Court will rule in his favor? Let's go straight to the source of the story. Attorney Jesus Falcis III, welcome to the source. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. It's my pleasure.
Now, let's review your petition, Attorney. I want to just brief people who may not be familiar with your petition. We're going to show a few graphics on screen. You said that Articles 1 and 2 of the Family Code deprive LGBTs of the right to due process and to equal protection, the right to decisional and marital privacy, and the right to find a family. So this is a historic first, the first oral arguments in the Supreme Court. And
about same-sex marriage.
About same-sex marriage, that's right. Why did you decide to take this to the court? Normally, arguments like this are done in Congress. Why the courts and why now?
Well, when it comes to Congress, they discuss policy options and they discuss political questions. When it comes to the Supreme Court, they discuss legal questions and fundamental rights. So in the Constitution, no matter what our politicians want, for example, if they want to torture criminals to gather intelligence, they cannot do that. And that will go to the Supreme Court. Now, what we're saying is, under the Constitution, we have fundamental rights, such as the right to marry, the right to equal protection, and so it cannot go to Congress.
Well, let's listen to what Solicitor General Calida has to say on the definition of marriage under the Family Code, and we'll get your reaction.
The present definition of marriage under the Family Code is but a reflection of the concept of marriage contemplated under the Constitution. The petitioners cannot therefore claim that the Family Code flouted the basic law of the land. Until the Constitution is changed, they have no cause to complain.
Your reaction, Attorney?
Well, it's as clear as day, Ms. Mitzi. If you look at Article 15 of the Constitution, nowhere there can you find the words between a man and a woman. It just says Article 15, Section 1. Marriage as an inviolable social institution is the foundation of the family. It doesn't say marriage is only between a man and a woman. So it's as clear as day. There is no limitation there.
Yes, clear. Now, I want to play for you also a few words that people are saying, some of their reactions on your petition on this issue. Let's listen in.
Ang babae para sa lalaki lang po, yun pong alam ko eh. Saka yun po ang sinasabi sa simbahan, di po ba?
I believe na it's not the right time to have a same-sex marriage. But in our society right now, hindi pa siya open. Hindi pa open yung people regarding to that matter.
Kung ako tanungin mo, dapat.
Bakit?
Kasi nagmamahalan naman yung mga tao na yun, dapat talaga gagawin yun at a-aprobahan yun.
Oo naman.
So we're hearing that a lot. It's not the right time. Do you think the Philippines is ready for same-sex marriage?
Well, again, as I answered in CNN as well, the question of right time or are we ready should be asked to the LGBT people. Are they ready for it? And they are, because a lot of them are marrying, but informally, and a lot of them are growing old. And if they're growing old, they are feeling insecure with their property rights, with their rights to their partner, because it's not legal, right? So if the rest of society is not ready, my unfortunate answer to that is they don't have to be. You know why, Mitzi? Because when gay people marry, when trans people marry, everybody's business or lives will just go on as well. Nobody's bothered if two gay people marry. So, for example, we have Isa Segura and who is now called Sai Segura, with Liza Dino, who are government officials, who were. One of them is still a government official. I mean, no one's bothered by their marriage.
Yeah.
Who are they bothering? So, why does the rest of society have to be ready for it? But we are ready for it. The LGBT community is ready for it. And so it is the right time. When it comes to fundamental rights, every time is the right time. So we don't have to postpone it in the future.
Yes. Now I want to ask, what happens? So if your petition goes through, or if you lose, what does this mean? Amendments to how will you go about this? So about legislation and amending that for the fine print, and also if the petition is granted, or if you lose, what does it mean for property, for issues like the anti-discrimination, the SOGI bill?
Let's go first with if we lose.
Okay.
Because we want to end with if we win.
Yes.
If we lose, then it's just status quo, meaning there's still no marriage.
Yeah.
And what gay people, trans people have to do is to hire the best lawyers out there. I don't want to claim it's one of them is me, but to make contracts for them, to try to approximate what marriage can give. And there are lawyers who can do that. But they still won't be able to access the full rights under the marriage. So if the petition loses, what happens to the LGBT community? It's the same. They still have to access the best lawyers to get the best arrangements. If the petition wins, then they can now go to the civil registrar to apply for marriage licenses and be legally married, not just have a religious ceremony, which a lot of LGBT couples are actually doing. From high-profile fashion designers to government officials, to ordinary citizens, there are LGBT individuals who are marrying, but it just cannot be legally recognized.
So the fight will continue if you lose.
Definitely, Ms. Mitzi. We have to remember, I want to remind our listeners that in other countries, it took them 20 to 30 years to achieve marriage equality. But my question to people who are saying now is not the right time, if we don't start the conversation now, then we're delaying the 20 to 30 years for it to happen, right? So if it doesn't happen now, then at least 20 to 30 years from now, it will happen.
Yeah.
But if we start 10 years later, then it will end maybe 40 years later.
You have found an unlikely ally in President Duterte, but you've been critical of some of his words and policies. Let's play a soundbite and then I'll have you react.
Sure.
So from there we start. Are we normal? Yes. Are you normal? Yes. At tumboy ba abnormal? No, of course not. Why? Because we are all creations of God. Ako gusto ko same-sex marriage. Ang problema, we'll have to change the law. But we can change the law. Ang batas kasi, marriage is a union between a man and a woman. I don't have any problems making it marrying a man, marrying a woman, or whatever is the predilection of the human being.
President Duterte changed his stance. Earlier, he didn't have that kind of support. Now he's saying actually he supports same-sex marriage and you can amend the law. Is he really supporting this, and is he an ally for you now?
There have been conflicting statements, but what I'm happy about is that at least he is one of the first, if not the only one, and one of the highest officials, if not the highest official, who has made clear statements for same-sex marriage, even though there were conflicting statements in the past. But it's also very heartening to hear him saying that being gay or lesbian is normal. It is not abnormal, which a lot of our LGBT brothers and sisters, especially the young ones, when they hear that they're abnormal, they get depressed or commit suicide or because they're being bullied. So here's the president saying there's nothing wrong with it. And I would like to follow through with this statement about God created us like this. A lot of LGBT individuals are religious too. And they believe that God indeed created everyone. If God is omnipotent and omniscient, He knows everything, He would have created man and a woman, but knowing that some men would be gay, some men would be straight, some women would be lesbians, some women would be trans women. So President Duterte is really correct there. But my last comment as to what President Duterte said, it seems like there's a conflict between his statement and Solicitor General Calida's statement. Because for President Duterte, he thinks the Constitution doesn't prohibit it, only the law, the family code. Now, Solicitor General Calida, on the other hand, believes the Constitution limits it to a man and a woman. So my challenge to President Duterte is, if he really supports same-sex marriage, and lawyer to lawyer, he can get my number from someone if he wants to have a meeting about it, I can tell him that you don't need to change the law. He just has to tell Solicitor General Calida, file a memorandum in favor of same-sex marriage, and maybe the case will win.
Yeah.
And you don't need to change the law anymore.
So what are the next steps? When will we know whether the case wins or loses?
It could take as long as years or as short as weeks. So the latest development is after the last oral arguments, we were ordered to submit a memorandum within 30 days. So that's July 26. After July 26, it could take as short as 1 week. Or as long as years. It depends on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, but you're hoping, what are you hoping? Any, what you feel?
We cannot speculate on the likelihood of winning or losing because it's covered by sub judice.
Yeah. Well, you waited 3 years, right? When you filed this petition, it was 2015, 3 years, but...
hope springs eternal.
Yeah.
Hope springs eternal. It was heard in oral arguments the first time. You would wonder why the Supreme Court would hear it. So we're actually very happy.
Yeah. How do you react to some of the criticism or the arguments that, or the remarks actually, that the oral arguments that liken same-sex marriage to incest? And I want to show here, one lawyer, Fernando Perito, put it in a tweet saying, it's like marrying my pet dog.
Let's listen to it.
Yeah, let's have a listen. We'll check. That's what it is. That's what he said, actually. Attorney Fernando Perito saying, if I cannot marry my sister, is it not discriminating, Your Honor? Your reaction to, there are a lot of remarks, and there still is a lot of stigma surrounding this issue.
Yes, well, the Supreme Court did not really question him about it because the Supreme Court itself knew that it was irrelevant. It's not the issue in the case. The case is just asking about the gender restrictions. At its core, marriage would still be about two consenting adults. So, one, that boxes out or removes the issue of bestiality or marrying your dog, because dogs cannot consent. Dogs cannot articulate, I want to marry you. Of course not, right? For sisters or brothers and sisters, your family, now there's a public policy behind it, and there's a rationale behind it. We're saying for same-sex marriage, there's no rationale. Who are we hurting? We're not hurting anyone if we're able to marry. But for brothers and sisters, if the father can marry the sister or siblings can marry each other, then it would create complications or imbalances of power. We prohibit sexual harassment, we prohibit marital rape. It's because there's imbalance of power there within the family. So you don't do that. We don't allow that. But for two equal adults who just met each other, might be strangers, want to make a family, there's no imbalance of power there.
If the court doesn't agree to marriage, would you settle for a civil union?
The Supreme Court, in all its wisdom, will have to be respected. We will not demand for something they don't want to give. If they want to give civil unions, we respect that decision. And that is a step forward for the LGBT movement.
Now, whether you win or lose, many in the LGBT community consider this a big win already. I mean, it's a big step.
Definitely. Yeah, because it's the first time, Ms. Mitzi, that it's being talked about. And you have the President of the Philippines saying that being gay or lesbian is not abnormal. Wow.
Yeah.
When have we heard that? And in the Supreme Court, through media interviews as well, with other organizations, LGBT people now are hearing that there are people saying there's nothing wrong with being gay. We're not harming anyone. So those are the messages coming out. And that's a victory because a lot of people are being told otherwise.
Yeah.
They're abnormal, you're hurting other people. That should not be the case.
Well, congratulations, really, and thank you for all you do, and all the best to you. And we hope to speak with you again. Thank you very much.
I hope so in the future.
Yes, you'll have more stories for us. Thank you very much, Attorney.
Thank you, Ms. Mitzi.
Thank you very much for being here. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Still to come, celebrate Pride Month with a power couple. Fashion designer Falcis Libiran and husband Christian Mark Jacobs will join us after the break. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Their love story is like no other, but they prove that in the end, love can definitely win. A powerhouse in the fashion industry, Falcis Libiran made headlines when he married his longtime partner and businessman, Christian Mark Jacobs, last year. The couple described their special day as a celebration of love and proof that love knows no boundaries. We also get their reaction on the move to legalize same-sex marriage in the country. Let's go straight to the source of the story, Falcis Libiran and Christian Mark Jacobs. Good morning. Thank you for being here, guys.
Good morning.
So first, I'll start. You heard the interview earlier with Attorney Falcis. What did you think? What are your thoughts on same-sex marriage in this petition? I'll start with you, Francis.
You know what, Mitzi? I'm just happy that it's moving forward. You know, we're very happy that it's already there and it's on the works. You know, we're very positive about it.
Yeah. Christian?
You know, for me, when SCOTUS made the decision in the United States to legalize same-sex marriage, it was such a day where I felt so much pride and happiness, and I hope to one day see that for the Philippines as well.
Yeah, and the world, you definitely saw that support because love is love. Everybody's using that word now.
Absolutely.
Well, we see that with you guys. You've been married for a year. Well, last year you had the ceremony in Boracay, but this year, 2018, you plan to have the actual marriage ceremony in California. Tell us about these plans. What's the start?
Well, you know, last year our wedding, it was quite a big wedding, and we just want to do something more simple, something intimate with our families. So in September we're going to go to San Francisco, and we're just going to go to the courthouse and get legally married in America, and then afterwards we'll celebrate with a small reception with just very close friends and family.
So this is the actual, the civil union, because last year that was just a ceremony, to clarify. Yeah.
Yes.
So how has life been 1 year after marriage? Is it all, you know, is it much better, or how do you feel now?
Yes, it's much better. Of course, I mean, Christian traveling back and forth from the Philippines and Vietnam that time was so hard on us.
Oh, and long distance in
long distance, yeah. So, I mean, I need to adjust my schedule also being home at a certain time because he loves to cook.
Yeah, of course, you're the chef.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how is it where you're now staying here? So now it's been a year that you're actually together.
Yes.
You're not moving. How has it been?
Overall, very positive. I mean, going back and forth after we got married last March, I was going back and forth about every 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
And it was an overnight flight. So just to be here, to be together, wake up beside each other every night, you know, go to sleep next to each other every night, just like a normal couple.
Yeah.
It's been
Still
wonderful.
in the honeymoon stage? Silence. Well, that's marriage, right? It's you know, love-hate
But you know what?
relationship.
It's really you know, your everyday lives wherein you need to adjust to each other.
Yeah.
You know, like sharing a bathroom is a challenge. Sharing a closet is a challenge also. So I mean, we're normal couples. You know, wherein we get to argue.
Yeah.
We patch up things at the end of the day, you know, those things.
What have been the biggest challenges for you, as we were speaking with Attorney Falcis earlier? When it comes to LGBT couples, there's still a stigma. Have you encountered any challenges? What are the biggest bumps in the road, especially in the Philippines?
I guess it's our rights as a couple, you know. Christian being an American, he's very particular about that. Like, what if you know, something bad happens to me, what his decisions are, you know, those things, we would always talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, worst case scenario, you know, the thing that I always think about that leads me to the conclusion that we have to be legally married is, what if one of us were in the hospital sick and the other weren't allowed to be by the bedside of the person that we love, the person that we consider to be our husband? So, you know, as LGBT, there are a lot of rights that perhaps everyday people don't think about, and all we're looking for is equality. We're not asking for anything more than what the majority of the population has the rights to.
Yeah, definitely. This is something many people take for granted.
Absolutely.
I want to look at your growing family. You have a puppy,
Yes.
baby Rocco. I think we have a
We're
picture of that.
practicing now.
What is it like? I mean, who is the, and you plan to expand?
Yeah,
You plan
of
to adopt
course,
more
yeah.
puppies.
We're breeding now.
So what's it like, growing together? What are the, what are you enjoying most about being married now?
You know what? Just being home at the end of a long day and just talking about our lives. That for me is, very fulfilling at the end of the day.
Yeah. Christian, you made the move to the Philippines. It's also an adjustment for you.
It definitely has been an adjustment, things like the traffic.
Yeah.
But fortunately, Filipinos are very welcoming and very friendly. And I've really grown to love it here, and I can see myself living here for the rest of my life for sure.
It's also a busy time for you both. How do you support each other in terms of career?
We need to sit down with our schedules.
Yeah, so you don't argue.
Scheduling.
Yeah, and you have to make time for each other, like a real
That's
quality
very
time.
important. No matter how busy we are, we would always, plan for a date night or just for him to cook without friends. It's just the two of us drinking wine, or on a Sunday just being lazy.
Yeah.
That's the key, I guess.
So who's the sweeter one? Who's the...
I think he is. He loves surprises.
When you fight, who's the first to say sorry?
That's always me.
Oh, okay, so that's, I can imagine. Very difficult designer, creative designer.
A little stubborn sometimes.
So also, are you guys planning, what's next for you guys? What can we expect? Because you always have new things that you're working on.
We have so many plans, we want to have our own beach house, We just want that getaway at the end of a busy week.
Yeah.
We're also co-owners of Francis Libiran Bridal with our business partner, R.C. Baltazar, and we're planning to expand and open new stores this year in the Philippines. So we're really excited about that, and that project's keeping us very busy.
Very exciting. And home, you're doing home stuff as well, right,
Yes.
Francis? We're very excited about that. Now, it is Pride Month. We are coming to the end of it. I'd like to ask, what is your message for the LGBT community, or hope for couples out there who may be going through struggles, Francis?
You know what, for me, it's fighting for what you really want. Don't be afraid. Just go on. No, don't be influenced by other people around you. Just go with what you believe in. Others would say a lot of things, but it doesn't matter anymore.
Well said. Christian?
I grew up in a very conservative, strict Christian fundamentalist community. So I understand, what it's like growing up in that kind of world and how difficult it is for some people to come out. I didn't come out until I was 22 years old. But what I would say to LGBT who are struggling is to just really be firm in who you are, and don't be afraid. Don't fear expressing that to the people around you who love you, because those who really love you will stick by you, and those who don't probably don't belong in your life in the first place.
Great messages and great reminders. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. Always wonderful to talk to you, Francis. Thank you, Christian.
Thank you.
This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Coming up, a Mother's Pride March sign is now an icon in the LGBT community. What does it say? That's for today's In Focus.